A message from the Government of Canada.
We've been talking about Loblaws, Canada's largest food distributor. It beat expectations in the latest quarter, saw same-store sales rise 3%. Loblaws, well known for its one-stop shopping approach. They offer customers clothing and household appliances, too. For the road ahead, though, our next guest says this is one formula the company could afford to lose. Rick Pennycooke is the president of the Lakeshore Group, commercial retail and real estate consulting firm. He joins us in the studio. Good to see you, Rick.
Good to be here, Rick.
So, I sense that you think they could stand a philosophy change at Loblaws a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt that they got into the department store goods area ill-advisedly, and I'm surprised that they did well this last quarter. Pleasantly surprised, but I think this current quarter and moving into Christmas is really going to tell the story. Obviously, people need to eat, so the food side should do well. They still have some issues there with making sure things are on the shelves, but they've got this giant albatross of the department store side of the business around their necks, and looking forward, I think that that's going to be a real problem for them.
Is there just not the margin there?
I think that there's a margin issue, but I just think that people are going to be pulling back on those discretionary items, and that's going to be a problem for them where, you know, in their superstores, you know, 40 or 50% of the floor space is devoted to department store goods.
So what goods specifically, if you were going to trim, if you were going to go through with a checklist and say, okay, get rid of that and that, give us a
well, actually, I was in the store yesterday sort of doing that analysis, and I think I'd get rid of the treadmills and the bar fridges and things of that nature. I mean, clothing, you'll be able to pick up some clothing, underwear, and things like that, but they have a lot of goods in there that people can afford to wait or not buy at all.
But then they're going after the they got this theme with the Joe Fresh look.
Right.
Is that working?
It actually is. It really looks good, and they're doing a really good job of it. It's just, I think that the timing of it is really bad. You know, the segment of the store looks fabulous. I've seen their new flyers. I've seen their new commercials. But again, that is department store type merchandise, and it's all in that mix that I think is really going to drag them down well into 2009.
But they're not a low-end type of grocery store. The people who shop there know that they're going to be paying a little bit more. Wouldn't they have that disposable income?
They would, but everybody's pulling back, and you know they're also competing against people like H&M. In fact, their commercials and their promotional material looks very similar to that. So there are a lot of other competitors out there that can have high fashion at disposable prices, I like to say, that they're competing with, which they may or may not be able to go toe-to-toe with in that game.
Okay, that's Loblaws. They also, or I guess it's Weston that operates they have the discount grocers as well.
That's right.
How do they manage to do that? Why do we have discount essentially competing with the main stores?
Well, it's all about market segmentation. That's a very important aspect of the grocery game is demographics. So depending on what market you're in or what section of the city you're in, you look at the incomes in that area, may not be able to support a first-line Loblaw, but could really support a no-frills banner. So you have to have different banners to meet different market conditions, even within the same city.
Is Loblaws or Weston's in-house brands, are they working?
They're improving. President's Choice, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was just a fabulous brand. Shine came off it a little bit. They lost Dave Nickel. But I think it's been coming back. They have been making improvements. I've often been down on them in the last couple of years. They have been making improvements. I just don't think it's been quite enough yet, and they took their eye off the ball, I think, with going into the department store goods, where their competitors like Metro and Sobeys stayed with what they knew best, stayed in the food game, and really honed that.
Well, certainly Loblaws has a very large presence in Ontario. They've been expanding a little bit.
Right.
Is the Ontario situation where the economy is definitely slowing here, does that present a particular problem for Loblaws?
Oh, I think it does. And in what I've been reading from the analyst research is that Ontario is going to be a problem because of the employment sector is having a problem here.
What about next year? What do you see for the shares are up of Weston and Metro and Empire, parent of Sobeys. What do you see in the future?
Well, I think if things stay as bad as they are today or worse, Loblaw is going to do worse than their competitors in terms of gross sales. I think they're going to have a real problem.
They won't make that up on the discount side?
They may, but a good part of their business is in the upper end side of things.
Right in those stores.
Yeah.
Good to get your insight as always.
Always good to be here.
Our guest has been Rick Pennycooke. He is the president of Lakeshore Group. Well, coming up here, economist Linda Nazareth is going to be back with more details on this hour's breaking news on those trade numbers for September. A little bit of a surprise in there. And futures are down and falling. More on the street coming up in just a minute.